Okay, so this is the bobble bag that I've been making. This will be part 1. So I begin with my solid color and my J 6mm hook, and you just throw it on there, and you're gonna chain multiples of 3 plus 1. And I'm going to be doing a chain of 25 so that I will have 48 stitches at the base of my bag, and it will make sense in just a moment. Okay, so that's 25. So take your tape measure out and make sure that that chain, if you want your bag to equal about what mine does, let's just put it that way, make sure it equals about 7.5 inches or about 19 centimeters. If it does not, your bag will be either too small or too big for the 7-inch zipper, okay? So I'm just letting you know now, I crochet loosely, so you definitely want to check that. All right, so we're going to skip that first chain like you normally would, and we're going to put a single crochet in each stitch to the end. Once you get to the end of your chain, you should have 24 single crochet. Or however many you had to do to get 7.5 inches. Okay, so here we are. We've got our 24 single crochet. Now what you're going to do, you're not going to chain one or anything. You're just going to turn and work on the opposite side of that chain in a round. So this is, I just crochet over the top of that so I can pull it tight. 3, 4, and we're going to do this all the way to the end of this round, and we're going to join with a slip stitch in the top of the first single crochet that we began this round with. Alright, so here we are at 24 single crochet on this side, so this is a total of 48. I do recommend that you go and count and make sure that you have 48. I don't care right now, so I'm not going to count. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet, which looks funny. There we go. All right, now we're going to look at the top here of your stitches, and we're going to chain one, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the back loop only all the way around. So this is round 2. And you should have 48 half double crochets in the back loop only when you are done with this. Now I will say that I try not to crochet loosely in this part, because if you do, your fabric liner may show through at the end, like at the bottom of your bag. So that is the whole purpose of this round. This is to hide the fabric on the inside of your bag that you are going to line it with. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. So I'm doing this all the way around in the back loop only. And this is where my pattern differs from Bag O' Day Crochet, which, by the way, that is where I got this pattern, not the bottom of it, but the pattern repeats. Came from Crystal over at Bag a Day Crochet. I'm going to link her video below because she did a tutorial not that long ago and I watched it and I fell in love with it. She made a really huge bag with hers. So if you are not wanting to make a tiny little bag, then I recommend going to her channel and watching her tutorials. She shows you how to do a much bigger bottom and a much bigger tote. But this is for little tiny cosmetic bags. I mean, they're not tiny. They're about 7 inches by about 6 inches. And I mean, I have a theory about all that. I don't make big bags to sell usually because I don't have much success selling large bags. Unless I go to like, I put it in like a boutique or whatever. Now I will probably stop and count my stitches here and make sure that I have 48. All right. Now I'm gonna join with a slip stitch. Now, from here on out, I will be doing the body of the bag pretty well the same way as the way Crystal tells you to in her tutorial. I do things slightly different because I'm a rebel. I hardly ever follow the pattern exactly, but it's mostly the same. So don't worry, I'm not like making it harder. I feel like I'm making it easier. So what we're gonna do first is chain 4. This is going to count as part of your first V-stitch. Every V-stitch consists of a double crochet, chain 1 space, and a double crochet in the same stitch. So you're going to do, to start this V-stitch round, you're going to do a chain 4, which counts as a double crochet chain 1, and then you're going to do a double crochet in that same stitch. Now, I will say that I try to do this round slightly tighter because I don't want any gaping holes in my bags. Because I do line them, I don't want the lining to show through because it's technically the wrong side of the fabric unless you have double-sided fabric. So I do tend to tense up a little bit more on the V-stitch rounds and I loosen up more on the bobble rounds. Just a little tip there. So anyways, I did my first V-stitch and now I'm going to skip 2 stitches and do another V-stitch in the 3rd stitch from my hook. All right, so that's a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that same stitch. And I'm going to skip 2 and do a V-stitch in the 3rd chain from that stitch. And you're just going to repeat this all the way around. Skip 2, V-stitch, skip 2, V-stitch, all the way to the end. And then we're going to put a stitch marker in the top because I do not cut my rounds. I drop my colors and then pick up the next color because to me it's a lot easier than weaving in 100 ends. So V-stitch, skip 2, V-stitch, 1, 2, all the way around. All right, so you should have 2 stitches at the end, and then you're going to slip stitch in the 3rd chain of your beginning chain. This ends round 3. All right, and that's the inside of your bag. Make sure you're not accidentally decreasing. If you want to count your V-stitches, if you're following my pattern exactly, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Because 48 divided by 3 is 16. I should have known that. All right, so we're going to put our little stitch marker in there. And we're going to set this color to your right, unless you're left-handed. Sorry, lefties. And we're going to pick up the Blossomopolis, or whatever it's called, And we're going to slip stitch into the chain one space of your first V-stitch. And the reason that I do it there instead of somewhere else randomly is because, like I said, I drop the yarn at each round and then pick up the last color. So that's why I do it close together. If you're cutting your yarn, it really won't matter where you put it. All right, so we're gonna slip stitch, chain one, and we're going to do a bobble stitch. This is a basic bobble stitch. I will say some bobbles end with like a stitch on top. We're not gonna be doing that. So you're gonna yarn over, put your hook into the hole and draw up a loop, yarn over, go through 2. You're gonna do this 5 times. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, through 2, 5 times, and you should have 6 on your hook when you're done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're gonna yarn over and pull through all 6. Now you're gonna pull it kind of tight, and you're gonna single crochet into that same space. All right, and then you're gonna poke it out. Crystal's video, she does it much slower and she's way more chill. I'm just kind of trying to save data on my phone, trying to get through this. So she tells you to turn and do your bobbles backwards. Really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you can poke bobbles either way. If you want them to face that way, poke them the other way. So I make my bags in the same direction with both the bobbles and the V-stitches. But if you want to go check out her video, I highly recommend it. So we're going to just skip to the next chain one space and do a bobble. Like I said, I kind of loosen up a bit on these bobbles. You're going to push it to the side and do a single crochet, poke it out. And you're going to put a bobble in each of these chain one spaces all the way around. That way you can have a bobble stitch in every V-stitch. And this is pretty well your pattern repeat as far as your bobble rounds go. So I'm going to speed up the video. You can pause it if you'd like. Okay, so now I'm at the end of the first bobble round, and I've come to the point where my stitch marker is. You're going to want to pull that a little looser and towards you. And you're also going to want to pull this string towards you. And you're going to find the top of your your bobble, and you're going to slip stitch into that, okay? And then you're going to take the stitch marker out of the linen and put it into the colored one. You're going to just kind of pull it a little snug. And to keep my yarn from tangling, switch them around to where the yarn that I am not using, sorry about that, is always to the right of me. And the yarn that I am working with is always to the left. That way you don't accidentally crochet over the top of your working yarn for the next round.